Today's incident will wake up your soul. Please watch the incident till the end, dear friends. This story is about a girl named Zara. Zara says, I am an educated girl and my parents married me to a village farmer against my will. He was my cousin's son. I had no choice but to cry. When my husband Ghulam Muhammad came to my house, my face filled with disgust. I looked at him once again and looked away. He came and sat near me and looked at me for a while, then said, I am very lucky to have a loving and educated wife like you. Hearing her, I glared at her and said that it is unfortunate that I have got an uneducated, uncultured and lazy person as a husband. Hearing my words, his face changed color. He didn't expect this from me. My mind was already poisoned about him. I said accordingly, my parents married me to my aunt's son, who is a farmer in the village, despite my refusal many times. The parents said the boy is polite and earns well, will always make you happy. He looked at me surprised that I spoke like I did. Then he asked, What's the matter, Zara? Aunt did not let you take wedding things as you wish. I said sternly I would have put up with things if they had been about little things. First go and look at your face in the mirror. Are you worthy of me that I can spend my life with you? You have neither good looks nor good education. My family members have ruined my life. Saying this, I started crying and he became silent. His face looked pale. I cried and said that I love someone else. I can't be with you. Hearing my words, he stood up and said, Zara, what are you saying? Is your head okay? I said, What is surprising? The one I love is 1,000 times better than you. He is handsome and educated. Hearing this, she went to the washroom with tears in her eyes. And it was true that I fell in love with a boy. When Ghulam Muhammad came out of the washroom, his face was wet with water. Maybe came out crying. He took his eyes off of me and started praying with Zainamaz in front of him. After praying a few rakats, he began to weep bitterly. I went to the washroom to change my clothes. When I came out in plain clothes, he spread a sheet on the ground and lay down with a pillow. I also lay down on the bed. A few days passed like this. Neither did I speak to Ghulam Muhammad nor did he speak to me. He would go out in the morning and return home in the evening smeared with mud. The smell of that dirt and mud and sweat on his body made me want to vomit. Seeing him, I turned my face away with hateful eyes. Seeing this, he would go to his own room and take a bath and come out clean and tidy. In my father-in-law's house, there was a rule that husband and wife would sit on the same plate and eat. Ghulam Mahmud and I used to share food with disgust. So I forced myself to eat less food. Ghulam Mahmud understood the meaning behind my work. He would eat half the bread and get up so that I could eat the rest when I was full. He used to go out in the morning with an empty stomach and thirst, and came home with a sweaty body after working all day and could not eat a full stomach. I kept thinking of my lover Ashik. My mother left the mobile I had with me, and it was not customary to keep the wife's mobile phone in her father-in-law's house. When I couldn't bear it anymore, I said to Ghulam Mahmud, Give me your mobile phone, I will talk to Ajar. After listening to my words, he looked at me brightly, but my lasciviousness had increased a lot. I took the phone from his hand and dialed Ajar's number and started talking to him. I cried and told him about my condition. Even in the presence of Ghulam Mahmud, I could not do anything. He lay down quietly on the floor. I talked to Ajar for some more time. I made it a joke. Every day I used to take the phone away from Ghulam Mahmud and talk to Ajar. Ajar was still ready to claim me as his own. During a day of talking like this, the mobile signal was repeatedly disturbing. Ghulam Mahmud fell asleep. I left the room and came to the outer room so that I could talk to Ajar. No one lives in the outer room. Everyone stays in their own place. I was calmly talking to Ajar. At that time, someone took the mobile from my ear. I looked up and saw my brother-in-law looking at me with fiery eyes. He said angrily, Naughty girl people, you have exceeded the limit of stupidity. Despite having a husband at home, you are in love with another man. Slowly, everyone in the house began to gather in the drawing room. Ghulam Mahmud came to the drawing room with his eyes wide open and said, What happened? What is such a shout? My God exposed my truth in front of everyone. Everyone was looking at me in surprise. I thought now they all together will throw me out of the house. It will be good. I will go back to my house again. Then I will marry Azar. But Ghulam Mahmud called my brother-in-law a liar in front of everyone. I fully trust my wife. He talks to his now girlfriend, and that too with my permission. Khabar if someone raised a finger at my wife? He explained the matter to everyone present in no time. Zara said, my anger increased after hearing him. I returned home and started arguing with her. I said to him, who are you talking about me? How beautiful my path was clearing. You could have thrown me out of the house based on what your brother said. You know who I'm talking to. I would go back to my room. After that, my parents had to marry me with Ajar despite their reluctance. But because of your actions, my plan was ruined. When will you leave me behind? Hearing my words, he smiled and said, even if you are not with me, I can't bear to hear anything about you from anyone's mouth. Your honor and your parents' honor is my honor. I will take all the blame on myself and then free you. However, I will not allow any mud to be thrown on you. If that boy really wants to treat you with respect, I will leave you at Aunt's house with all the faults of my own body. Later, I will also send you the divorce papers. Hearing Ghulam Mahmud for the first time, I stared in awe. He was illiterate, could not sign, and signed himself with fingerprints. But respect and dignity were strict. Suddenly, the space I had for him in my mind began to slowly change. But I immediately restrained myself and told everything to Ajar. Ajar was happy to hear all this and said, you come to the city and get a divorce from your husband. We will have a court marriage first and you will stay with me. Later, your parents will be forced to accept us. I accepted his word. After some time, I went to town with Ghulam Mahmud. After going to the address given by Ajar, I said to Ghulam Mahmud, now you go and give me a divorce. From today, I have nothing to do with you. I will marry Ajar. She said, I can't divorce you on face. My tongue doesn't allow me to do this. After preparing the documents, I will mention the talaqnama there. Saying this, he left. I knocked on the closed door. Ajar opened the door. He smiled at me. I entered the room, but I did not see any of his family members. On mobile, she told me that she told everything about me to her family. Zara said, I saw the empty house and asked Ajar, where are all the people in your house? He said, come in, saying, when I went into the inner room, I saw 2 other men sitting there. They both started laughing at me. A man from there said, I will give you 3 lakhs. The ground beneath my feet moved as soon as I heard this. Ajar brought me here to sell me. Everything was blurring in front of me. I made up my own mind before Ajar pushed me inside the room. I pushed Ajar and ran towards the main gate. The 3 of them followed me. Ghulam Mahmud had not gone far. I called his name. Then he looked back. I was running towards him. 3 men are running behind me. The darkness of the night covered all around. The place was also quite quiet where Ajar called me. I went behind Ghulam Mahmud and hid. Those 3 men said to Ghulam Mahmud, give this girl to us, otherwise I will kill you. Instead of answering, Ghulam Mahmud started beating the 3 of them. Those people started beating Ghulam Mahmud back. The place was filled with noise. Slowly people started gathering there. God's grace was such that at that moment the police was passing by that place. Seeing the policemen, the people tried to escape, but still they were caught. The police were looking for the 3 of them. They used to sell the girls by hanging them in the net of their love. By the infinite mercy of Allah, I was saved from this danger. Ghulam Mahmud had a small part cut off near his lips. Seeing her cut like that for the first time filled my heart with pain. Ghulam Mahmud took me quietly to the bus stand. I couldn't look up at him. He proved to be an uneducated yet brave young man. I feel insignificant in front of him. He said, Zara, where do you want to go? To your parents? I said, I want to go with you. Hearing my words, he looked at me very surprised. My parents chose diamonds for me, but I saw the spectacle of lead and went to cut my hand. I survived by the grace of Allah. Ghulam Mahmud took me with him to the village without asking a second question. How bad things I have said to my husband, yet how careful this man is of my honor. I couldn't make eye contact with him for 2 days. I started cursing myself. Ghulam Mahmud was getting up from my side after eating half a loaf. Then I stopped him and said, why don't you eat the food? Why do you eat half a loaf of bread every day? After hearing my words, Ghulam Mahmud looked at me for a while and sat down again. Then he started eating quietly. I was completely broken inside, so it was very difficult for me to bow my head and admit my mistake in front of my husband. I wanted him to forgive me on his own, but he was always silent. He would return home late at night and sleep on the floor with a sheet. One day I gathered all the courage in my heart and sat before him. I lowered my head and said in a soft voice, "Ghulam Mahmud, please forgive me. I misidentified you." Leaving the diamond, I reached for the glass. I cried and admitted my mistake, but he still sat silent. He stopped me and laid down again with his pillow. I interrupted and said, "Your place is not there. You come upstairs and sleep. I know it's not that easy to forgive what I've done. I have caused you a lot of trouble, but you have shown me your kindness so far. Please forgive me if possible." I thought he must now forgive me and pull me into his bosom, but I don't know why he was just staring at me. His silence was crushing me inside. Zara said, "I said, Ghulam Mahmud, say something. Why are you silent? You make me laugh. Leave all your anger on me. Forgive me though." I begged so much, but he kept looking at me silently. It's been 6 months since we got married. The lock that Ghulam Mahmud has hung on his lips for me in these 6 months he has not opened despite my 1,000 cries. Zara said, in the morning he handed me some papers. The sky fell on my head. I started crying my head off. I started saying, "Ghulam Mahmud, please don't divorce me." I started crying. He told me, "You are an educated person. Read it and sign it." He left the room. I understood that once a girl is out of her husband's mind, there is no place for her again. Or a man can accept everything but not another man in his wife's life. I took the paper in my hand and started crying. I didn't have so much courage that I would open the paper. I decided that I would apologize at the feet of Ghulam Mahmud at night so that he would not divorce. When she came home at night, I grabbed her leg and started crying. He grabbed my 2 arms and said to me, "If you read that paper, he would not cry like this. It's not a divorce paper." Saying this, he took the paper out of the cupboard and handed it to me. I wiped my eyes and read the paper. It was the land of his land where he cultivated. He wants to make everything in his land in my name. I was harassed by his work. I told him, "Why are you giving me these things?" He said, "Because you are my wife. I will go to town tomorrow. I'll be back sometime later." Despite my thousands of times, he forcibly took the sign from me. Then he moved to the city. 4 days I waited for him. 4 days later, Ghulam Mahmud returned but became the body. The shadow of morning was covered in the whole room. The sky broke in my head. One of his friends brought him to the bed. He said that 2 months ago, Ghulam Mahmud learned that he had cancer. He won't live long. Do not know what the man has done for the past 6 months that this man is taken away by his life. I somehow handled myself. Shortly afterwards, my mother-in-law gave me a letter in my hand and said, "Zara, Ghulam Mahmud's friend has given you this. Said Ghulam Mahmud sent it to your name." I was surprised to tell the canal that the aunt Ghulam Mahmud was illiterate. So how did he write this letter? The aunt was surprised to hear about me and said, "Who told you Ghulam Mahmud was illiterate? He passed from the 10th grade to a village school. Still, he studied. He also became his father's work partner." I was shocked to hear this. I never came to the village before marriage. I knew that all the children in my canal are illiterate. Aunt said, "Ghulam Mahmud loved you from an early age. He used to say always, 'Mother, Zara studies, so I also want to be established in life by studying. And when she is my wife, she should not be ashamed of the people, thinking that my husband does not know the study.'" The words came in my chest like a hammer and hit the house. I did not think that Ghulam Mahmud would enter the word from me. But I do not think it is necessary to expose it in front of everyone. Ever since I was intelligent, I have learned that my mother wants to see you as my wife. That is why love for you in my mind was born from an early age. As I got older, my love and answers to you began to increase as soon as the mother told me that I was studying for Zara. I used to eat hammer for reading. When the mother used to say that Zara likes to eat this food, my own food starts to make good millions of my own. I had forgotten you before the wedding, so I could not bear the words of the wedding night. In my eyes there has never been water to this day. There is a lot of water falling through the eyes. But that day, I was completely broken. Men can tolerate everything in human beings, but when he knows his wife loves another person, and that word comes to his ear on his wedding night, and his honor is mixed with all the ground. Even though I was completely broken, I loved you, even though I broke it and didn't break it anymore. That is why when you talk to your boyfriend in front of me, in my mind, Ayo's tears fall like rain. I did not understand that these troubles inside me would cause my cancer. I deposited all my savings and land in your name so that after my death, no one has any force on you. Now you are completely free. No one can live better than me, Zara said. I started crying in my chest. What did I do? My husband left this world for me. My aunt was scared to see my cry. He said, "What happened? Why are you crying like this? Is there such a letter in the letter?" How did I answer him? I just think of myself saying, "Ghulam Mahmud, why did I die in your place? Why did you love a perky girl like me? If I had died in your place, then the matter would have been right." Ghulam Mahmud sacrificed himself in love, and I am still alive today with the promise of love for him. Now I am 5 years old. I am sick of the time. Just now I read his last letter. Now I just wait when I will die and I can go back to my slave Mahmud. One of my special requests to all girls is that you love your husbands. No one else will love you the way your husband loves you. Do not verify your husband's less qualification with the ego of your studies. Love cannot always be verified by studying. If I understood the matter before, then maybe Ghulam Mahmud would have been alive today. Your friends were the story of Zara's life. Be sure to tell you in the comment box how you felt the incident. Like the video and share it with your friends. Next I will come to you with a video again.